G'day and welcome to Season 3 of Harvestable by AgriDigital. Join co-founders Emma Weston and Ben Reid in this 8-part mini-series as they delve into the transformative power of data in agribusiness, exploring AI's impact, supply chain transparency, and the future of data-driven grain management. In this episode, we're thrilled to be joined by Anna Falkiner, CEO and co-founder of Cropify.
So welcome to episode 4 of this year's podcast. I'm Ben Reid, co-founder of AgriDigital, and today on the line I've got Anna Falkiner, who's the CEO and co-founder of Cropify. Great to have you with us, Anna.
Thanks, Ben. Great to be invited.
So we've known each other for a little while. I guess today we're here to talk about Cropify and your use of AI with your new product in the market, which is pretty exciting stuff. But I guess before we get into that, I guess the theme of this year's podcast is to talk all about data and data intelligence, I guess. And you guys are certainly testing out AI in a new way with some pretty exciting stuff in smart classification. And I did read from your website, you're aiming to eliminate subjective testing of pulse and grain crops, which is really cool. And I think something that the industry's probably been grappling with for some time. So we'll be able to get into that in a little moment. But I just thought to kick things off, if you just wanted to talk a little bit about, I guess, where you grew up and how you've got to where you are today.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. So, look, my background is business and new product development, but I suppose both sides of my family I'm fifth generation farmer, both sides of my family. Originally from New South Wales, on a station just out of Narrabri. And my mother was a Tasmanian from a farm down there. So when I was young, we moved to Tassie and started farming in Tassie. And when I finished school, I thought, I can always go back to agriculture, so I should do a business degree. And that was the path I took, entered the wine industry, was a global marketing manager for a multinational wine company for many years, and then struck out on my own as a consultant. My co-founder, Andrew Hannon, who happens to be my husband as well, he's from Tassie as well, from southern Tassie, grew up in town, but always had an absolute love for agriculture and decided to study agriculture. And we met when he was managing properties in Tassie, and left the little island and moved to the big island when Andrew started working for Grain Corp many years ago. We are now self-employed and we're grain buyers. That's our main money-making enterprise while we develop Cropify, our smart classification new venture.
There you go. My two business partners, Bob McKay and Emma Weston, who are also a husband and wife team and helped me get AgriDigital off the ground as co-founders 8 years ago. So I've got a good appreciation for what it takes for a husband and wife team to to start something off and the pressures that brings. But yeah, I'm glad you've done what you've done, and I know it's early days, but as a participant in the industry for a number of years, I guess having, as you call it, smart classification around grain crops and removing subjective measurements in particular is it's a novel cause, I guess, and we've probably got it's a global application, I guess, not just something that is an opportunity here in Australia, but certainly overseas as well. So great to also have you, I guess, involved in different parts of the supply chain, as you say, also in grain buying.
Yeah.
But naturally, I guess this is your mainstay now, getting Cropify going.
It certainly is. So, look, Andrew concentrates on our other part of the business, which is the grain buying, while I drive Cropify.
Yep.
We started Cropify, a bit of background, in 2019. So, Andrew's background being in the grain supply chain for over 20 years and seeing the effects of subjective testing, which makes up about 53% of the classification process currently in Australia. You're seeing the upsides and the downsides of that, and the fact that there wasn't really a level playing field because of the subjectivity, people classifying by eye and the reliance on so many casual staff over harvest especially. The grading could be in favour of the grower or could be against the grower, and then also the problems that created for the bulk handler in segregation and ending up with bunkers that weren't actually the indicative quality that they thought they would be, and then trying to source that product for the end user and getting the right grade for the end user causes so many headaches. So 2019, we undertook proof of concept with an idea to replace that visual classification done by human with artificial intelligence and machine learning. And the great news from that was big tick that the potential for AI and machine learning to replace that subjective testing was proven. And since that time, we've worked through to March this year, where we've got a really accurate working prototype that's basically classifying in line, if not better, than professional classifier laboratory classifiers. And we've based that prototype around lentils to start off with, because we're based in South Australia, our business, and lentils are the major pulse grown in South Australia, but also they're so small, they're very, very hard to classify. So our idea is we've proven our concept and its accuracy with lentils. So the rest from here will be a much smoother path.
Yep. Wow. That's great. And probably just for the benefit of everyone, and particularly as well as myself, I guess I haven't actually seen the machinery or the device that's actually doing this, but
yeah,
can you give us a bit of a feeling for what it looks like, and is it a massive thing that sits on a desk, or how does it work?
No, look, we've purposely tried to make the product fit for purpose. So we look at the situation where classification's done currently, and it's usually in a classy hut by the bulk handlers on a bench, or in a laboratory, or the grower will be doing it in the shed, before they put it into their storage or send it off to the end user. So basically, all our smarts are cloud-based. So the actual, AI machine learning that derives the result is all based in the cloud, and we have a very small unit, which is about the size of a microwave, which the sample is placed in. The images are taken, and those images go up into the cloud, and then the results are derived, and they come back down onto basically a touch screen about the size of an iPad with the results there. And then those results can be shared. Say if the grower does some classification on farm and wants to share the results with their broker, so they can work out where they're going to sell to, or whether they should store, they can share those results in real time. And the person at the other end can open up those images and actually look at the classification results.
Yep. Okay. Very good. And is there, I guess I'm assuming there's some sort of like regulation around the results and getting, is this covered under the National Measurements Institute or the NMI? What have you had to do in that area?
Good question. So we have worked with industry and asked how we should be working towards accreditation, if you like. To date, we've been benchmarking against laboratory classified independent samples to develop the model and make sure that our data is correct. And then really it's going to be acceptance by industry. So doing commercial trials with the bulk handlers and other members of the supply chain and checking the results against their benchmark testing will be the way to go. The federally Department of Ag are currently putting together guidelines for tech adoption, but they are still in a working document, but we're making sure we're part of that and keeping ahead of what's happening.
So I guess the goal here is to naturally remove the subjective testing nature, and one would expect that if it's visually taking photographs, I'm assuming it takes an image. Is that how it works, Anna? And then it sends it up to the cloud. Yeah. So correct. I guess that should be more consistent, more accurate, I guess, than what sort of some, an individual's going to classify something at versus another person. There's a change of shifts, there's a new person that comes in, correct, etc. Yeah.
Correct. So, you can. We started off looking at using a mobile phone camera, but the cameras in mobile phones, as you know, they're very dependent on the brand, but also their field of view is limited. So to try and do this in a timely and accurate and repeatable manner, we're using sophisticated machine learning cameras that take very high resolution images, and they actually break the image of the sample up into individual seeds images to be able to analyse it. So not only are we controlling our little microwave unit, if you like to call it, is controlling the lighting and controlling the environment that the test result images are taken in, the results will come from, but also it has to be fast and accurate, because we also want to improve the efficiency of the supply chain. So not only will we be a lot faster, and we predict we'll be eliminating 75% of the time it takes for a classification test to be done based on lentils at the moment. But also we'll be removing all those physical samples and the plastic bags that need to be kept for up to 12 months as reference. So a lot of that will be able to be removed as well from having a digital library.
Yeah, I hadn't actually thought about that because you've got the actual images of the samples that'll essentially replace the need for the physical.
Correct.
As you say, the hundreds, if not thousands, of little sample bags that get stored for 12 months after harvest. So
so it'll be really it's got many positive knock-on effects from the fact that the speed, the accuracy, and the sharing of results. It's just eliminating a lot of other, like diesel use, all those trucks idling waiting for the classification test. That will be reduced dramatically as well.
Yeah, speed and accuracy. Yep. There was a couple of other questions I've got for you. I guess I'll get to the journey I guess you've been on in the raising money and actually building a business from scratch, which is obviously crucial. But I guess the other one is too, there's some pretty high tech and some IP here that you've sort of developed over the last, what did you say, since 2019. Have you had to patent some of this? Is that sort of under patent, or how does that?
Yes. Yeah. So it's quite complicated because we have we have different components that make up our product, but I suppose our major part of our IP is our AI and machine learning model. Because with AI and machine learning, it's only as accurate as the data sets you actually put into the machine learning. So that's what the library, the machine learning actually learns from. So if you put bad quality data sets in, it's like if you are taught how to spell, but the book you're given to teach you how to spell is inaccurate. If you give someone the wrong information at the start, the results at the end will be rubbish. So one of the most important and the vital parts of our product and that we need to protect is our data sets, because they are ours and they're proprietary, and the way we gather those and the way we teach our machine is really our moat, if you like. That's our really, really important and the part we really need to protect the most. Our actual physical product that sits on the bench, really, it's a light box. Someone is going to be able to pull that apart and copy that if they really wanted to, but they're not going to be able to copy the accuracy and the smarts of our actual machine learning from that. We do have some trays that we've had to develop specifically for lentils because they are problematic to separate the sample and present to the camera. So we will be patenting the tray. There's patent pending on the tray for that.
And then I guess on to the commercializing of the product and I guess, starting the business and, funding it yourself for a while, I'm guessing. And now I believe you're up to sort of raising some seed capital or some investment money to grow the business. And I guess from experience, from our journey here at AgriDigital, I can certainly understand some of the pain that you might be going through in that area. And I guess it's sometimes a little bit of the chicken and egg, isn't it? I think what sounds like a wonderful product and some interest from some of the bulk handlers and some of the grain supply chain participants who need this technology, but then obviously you need money to grow the business and put a commercially viable product on the market. So I'm not sure how you want to answer that question, but I guess I'm interested to understand how you're going there and what you've learned.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. It is very much, you're correct, spot on. It's very much a chicken and egg. We have been self-funded, so Andrew and I have put our own hard-earned money into this for the last 4 years, and we've been lucky to get a primary industry grant, which we had to match fund though, which gave us a bit of an injection. So our whole plan was to get to the stage of having a really highly accurate and fast operating prototype, which we're at now, and then to do our first raise of capital from outside our co-founder cash pool. And we've started that now. What's been really interesting is we've done lots of demonstrations for large industry players, and they all love it and can see the huge potential it has, and they want to come on to do commercial trials. But a lot of them don't want to invest until we've done that commercial trial. But what's been really great is the growers, the primary producers who are, producing grains and pulses, have been very generous and are coming on in our seed round, which has been magnificent. But it's almost that valley of death as people speak about. We've got our prototype, but we're probably 6 months off commercial trial, and it's raising that capital to stretch us to the commercial trial that we're in now, which is challenging, but really encouraging as well at the same time. But it has been really good to see growers really embracing what we're doing, and once I've seen a demonstration, they think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, well, I can see the attraction from a farmer's perspective, to have trust, I guess, in the classification process, which is, as you have said, rightly so, for things like lentils and probably pulses in general are, not questionable, I suppose. But it's just more a case of that consistency and knowing that you can trust what, if you're delivering a load of grain that could be worth, tens of thousands of dollars, to make sure it's actually getting classified properly. And there's a lot to be lost or gained from that process. And I think certainly the bulk handlers and the receivers should also see the value. But I guess it's just, like you said, it's that valley of death between having a commercially viable product with revenues and sort of having a product that's not quite there, or the product might be there but you haven't actually got the scale yet to have that revenue coming in. So
sorry, Ben. So we're at that stage. We've got a prototype, but to do the commercial trial, we need to produce obviously multiple units and do a bit more development. But once we've done that commercial trial, and a lot of the bulk handlers and other supply chain participants want to do a commercial trial, I think we'll be having some great purchase orders coming in.
Anna, it sounds like you've got a wonderful product, and you heard it right now. Anyone out there that's interested in investing in Cropify, the phone's ready for the call. But I think you're going to have great success. I mean, you and Andrew are well credentialed in this space, and I've got 20 odd years plus experience in agriculture, and particularly in the post farm gate grain supply chain. So I think you're on a winner. I'm sure there's like all these things, I'm sure there's other competition out there as well, Anna, but I haven't really seen too much specifically from Australia with what you're doing. So I'm certain there'll be competition out there, but it sounds like you're certainly at the bleeding edge of what you're doing.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. We believe, because we do understand the supply chain so well, and we've both worked in that supply chain from producer right through, we believe we'll have superior market fit of any competitor that tries to come in later. And what's really heartening, we've actually had interest from Canadian growers who are coming on as investors as well. So they see the need, and they haven't seen anything within their market that compares to our solution.
Yep, exactly. Well, it's not all just about the actual product; it's about the people behind the business. And we wish you well. So appreciate you coming on online today. Great to have the conversation with you, and we wish you the best of luck, and look forward to watching the journey from the sidelines.
Thanks very much, Ben. Great to catch up.
Thanks, Anna.
Thank you for tuning in to Harvestable by AgriDigital. We hope you found value in today's conversation. Join us next week as we delve deeper into the world of agribusiness and data. Until then, stay curious and keep harvesting insights.